Thank you, everybody, for joining the Bassfug Podcast today. We have a very special guest all the way from Rome, Italy, Maddie, a.k.a. Mauro. How are you doing?
Hi, man. I'm doing fine. And you?
I'm doing good. It's a Sunday morning here in Montreal. It's getting cold.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, for the 10th time, thank you so much for your time. I totally appreciate it. I know we live in this Netflix world where the attention span is very short now. So 30 minutes is a big ask. So
no problem.
First thing I wanted to talk about was production. I know this is a production podcast, but your production is very, very high production. When I listen to your music, no, I mean it. A lot of it sounds like it could have been on MTV. You know, it sounds very, 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 very like. I'm surprised that you don't have like Britney Spears or a famous, very big pop star on it. You know, the production is really high. So I wanted to talk about what gear you're using, what synths you're using, if any. What your DAW is, just what your whole process is. I want to get that out of the way first.
Yeah, let's go. Already into the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So but I mean, basically my main DAW is Ableton, but I tend to use other little apps on the iPad to produce sketch ideas. So for example, Beatmaker. And, even GarageBand on the iPad. But mainly on the PC, I use Ableton Live. And then, I have a studio. So do you want to know the technical stuff?
Yes,
like
totally.
Audio card?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to know what synthesizers are using shielded chords and which aren't.
Perfect. So, I mean, the boring stuff are, the audio card, which I think is really important. And it's an RME. Because it's the main thing of the studio, and I mean the fun parts are like I recently switched to a hardware synthesizer, but I use them not so much because it's really I have a lot of work to do, and when I do my stuff, I tend to go really quick. So most of the times it's software synthesizers. But I have like for hardware, I have a Korg M1, which is for this kind of really old sounds.
It's
that's
really the X-Files theme. The famous show. Yeah, the X-Files theme was made on the Korg M1.
Yeah. Most of the 80s and even 90s music was made on the Korg M1.
Yeah, that piano is there's a few patches that are just like straight from house. Yeah.
I think even Dua Lipa and is using that synth right now, like Calvin Harris. I think he used that. So it's a really cheap synth, but it's really it's cool to produce with it. And then I have like these kind of new Behringer, really small like Eurorack format synthesizer, and I have the Neutron, which is the red one. And the K2, which is like an emulation of the MS-20. And I must say I'm really impressed because I paid like $300 and, for the sound, for the money, the sound is outstanding.
Yeah.
And then I'm really into the DeepMind from Behringer, which I made kind of, for now I made like 120 patches from scratch.
Oh, wow.
Because I really love that shit. Maybe I'm gonna sell them, at some point and put them online. I don't know. For now, I'm just using them for my projects. And what else do I have? Oh, the base station, which I think it's still amazing. I used that in live a lot of times actually. Because
the first one or the new one?
No, the base station 2. I mean, the first one is really, it's rack unit, and I don't really like playing rack stuff, even though I had the Behringer, but I play them not so often. So and what do I have? I mean, I have the Push 2 as a keyboard. The main keyboard of the studio is a really old Novation SL MK2, which I love. Like, it's the best. I think it's the best keyboard that you can find these days. But they don't make it anymore. They make the MK3 now, and it's really different. And plus, they have I call it the nippo. Like for me, that's an interesting thing. Like for me, like the nippo, like you usually have the pitch bend and a mod wheel.
Yeah.
But these kind of keyboard, like the M1 and the Novation SL, and there's even the Roland A49, which is really cheap. And I have this joystick, which was famous from Roland and Korg back in the days.
Yeah.
And it's amazing for playing funk because, you can really pitch bend really, really quick. And that's, one of the main reason I love the keyboard. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
You're a big fan. You're a big fan of the Behringer stuff. I wouldn't. I know they're. Look, we said no politics, and I know now Behringer's in a lot of trouble. But they release a lot. Those clones, man. I have the 303 clone. I have the K2 myself, and there's no way you're going to get an MS-20 for less than $2,000. And that K2 is pretty damn close to the MS-20. And it costs, like you said, $300. I don't know how they do it. I hope they release more clones because I want to get a CS80, but I'm curious what you think about the Neutron. I've never, I always see it around and I kind of want to buy it, but I'm not sure if I should. But
do you have Eurorax?
No, none.
Okay, so that's the first. I think it's the first jump into Eurorax, the Neutron.
Okay,
because he has so many patch points on that, and you can, for example, I use the MS, the K2, not the MS-20.
Yeah, I call it the MS-20 all the time.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, the K2 doesn't have a really intuitive ADSR. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I tend to use the one from the Neutron to trigger the MS-20 filter, for example.
Oh, wow.
So this, for me, is kind of an utility synth because it has like LFOs and plus I can route what I do usually use that to FM.
Yeah.
Okay. And it sounds really, really cool. But you can do pretty much whatever you want. And having the possibility, to really go in there and patch the cables is really fun, and it makes different sound. Like imagine you can do four oscillators and three analog filters actually, because the K2 has 2 filters. With only €600. So
yeah. I'm curious, for your latest EP, Defunk, were you using the K2 a lot on there, or is that a new addition?
The K2 was a new addition, yeah. I used if you can hear on Need You, for example, the chords are from the DeepMind and the bass is from the bass station. I didn't have the K2 and the Neutron actually at that time. But, the EP was ready way long before the quarantine. And some of the tracks were from 2015. Like, for instance, the bonus track that are on Bandcamp, which are called Child and Short Child, were finished in 2015. Like the master was finished.
Okay.
So it's pretty much a collection of different songs from time to time. But for me, like for example, Drama is everything is from the Ableton, and Need You is more analog. Cifra is more analog. But for me, like, there's no real difference between soft synth and hardware synth if they made well. Obviously, if you use, for example, the synth one from 1990, that's a different story because the filter were difficult to program with that CPU and all of that. But, for example, Yuhi Diva and Yuhi Repro, like, for me, even most... I'm a bit scared to say that because I bought the hardware synths, but for me they are better than the K2, they are better than the base station, and even than the DeepMind. Like there's no way they're gonna come close to that synth. That synth is amazing. Repro right now is my favorite synth.
Yeah. Let's talk about. You mentioned a couple of things that I want to kind of go off on here. Let's talk about quarantine first. You were saying that you have a dancing community that that is using your songs for their parts. But how is that working now in quarantine? Is that stopped, or do they have to wear hazmat suits when they're dancing, or like how does that work?
Yeah. No, I mean the dancing scene in Italy is pretty much stopped like before quarantine. They tried to reopen, but then they had so many rules to follow that they just closed after 2 weeks. So right now in Italy, there is basically no scene anymore. Like all the gyms are basically closed. So what they are doing is trying to do master classes online, and invite people from the outside of Italy with talks, and all that kind of stuff. But still, we're talking about dancing, and I've been in one of them. I played for them for example, in a live session on Zoom, and you could see the people dancing, with 5 seconds of delay on your music, and it's kind of,
yeah.
It's kind of, pity in some way. But yeah, if that's everything we can do, we're gonna stick to that. But the real thing is with this EP, I couldn't imagine like the support I had from outside Italy, because I had people from Egypt, from Turkey, from I don't know, like everywhere, Singapore, Korea, Japan, like basically everywhere dancing to my music. And it was like amazing to see, like, because when I put out music, it's music that I do mostly for myself, and you can see that because they don't have a lot of rules, they're not made with the strong chorus. It's just 4 minutes of me improvising on the keyboard most of the time.
Okay.
And it's still amazed, that people bought the EP on Bandcamp, for example, or even were dancing on it from every part of the world. It's so cool because it's your music, it's not when you're working for people. It's different. Like, I make my music only for myself first. Like, I don't think about when people hear that, maybe I should, step back a bit and produce something that's a bit more intelligible. I tend to not do that for my project because otherwise I wouldn't enjoy that.
Yeah.
So for me, it's always a win, even if 2 people listen to the songs and they like it, it's cool. Like, I love that.
So did you find that you were producing more with quarantine or less? Because I know the thing that a lot of people I've been interviewing is that the thing that really hurts most about the quarantine is that when you play live, you get to meet other people and you start to network, and when you stop playing live, it's kind of, you could still go on Discord groups and Facebook and meet people, but it's kind of not the same thing. Did you find that with your experience?
A lot, actually. Yeah, it's really like the big problem right now is that I have a kind of it's not a writer's block per se, but I'm kind of losing my sound because of that reason. Because for me, my sound was more like dancing with people, and a really happy and light-hearted sound. It's really, I don't want people to think too much when they listen to my song. I just want them to be entertained.
Yeah.
And with the mood of the quarantine, it was really difficult, because usually music, what I do is like, put my mood inside the songs. And if you're alone for a long time, but you don't experience stuff, you get what are you writing about anyways? I know it's producing is not like songwriting, but still, you need experiences to do music.
Yeah, and your music's, a lot of it's so upbeat, that if you're kind of staying at home playing video games for a year, it kind of kills the vibe a little bit,
Exactly.
Exactly. Let's shift gears back to production a little bit. Let's talk about talk boxes. You got a lot of talk boxes going on. I'm wondering, is that you on the vocals? Are you hiring people? And did you build your own talk box? Because I know I tried building a talk box once and it was really weird. And then I tried to go buy one and it was like $200. And I was like, well, I don't know. What can you recommend for this?
So okay, let's start with the simple one. Yeah. So the talk box that I have right now is the Rocktron, the Banshee. I think it's the second edition, and I find it really, really bad. Like I don't like it at all. But still, I have that, so I'm just using that. He has, it lacks a lot of bass, and plus the tube is too big, so you cannot really articulate. But I'm still like a really I'm at the beginning of my talkbox journey. To be honest, I don't play it as much as I should. Because it takes so much time, and plus if I play that for more than 1 hour, it starts to really burn out the inside of my mouth, like it's scratching the mouth all the time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I'm just taking it out for playing the songs, and then I just put it back. So I'm not really a huge talkbox nerd, and plus, most of the time the pronunciation is really bad because, as you know, I'm Italian, so I tend to, let other people.
I don't agree. Man, when the talk box hits on your songs, it's just like, holy fuck! It's like next level. Don't stop with the top boxes. If you could see the imperfection, that's fine, but I don't think the listeners can, because it's really adds it, puts it onto a next level. It makes it super authentic.
Man, thank you. That's motivation. Thank you. I'm gonna continue with that then.
Yeah.
And actually, with you asked for if I hire vocalists outside. The funny thing is, you listen to Sowimi, right?
I listened to your entire discography, but so
okay. Yeah. So actually, on the D-Funk EP, there's a song. It's called Sowimi, which is the first song that I'm actually putting out with my voice. But I didn't say, it's not public that it's my voice. It's just, I made it, so it's cool. Like I'm still a producer, but when we could go outside and travel, I was most of the time going to London and trying to work with people from there because I think they're really talented. And as in Europe, obviously. The language is the universal one that we use for music, and plus it's the real one, not the American one. They have the good accent.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, I like American accent, but for me, the English one is the original one.
Don't worry, we know we're hillbillies. It's fine.
Yeah. So but since I've been basically, I couldn't travel for so long. I just started singing, and now I'm actually trying to make an album. That's the first time I say that to the public, but I'm trying to make an album in Italian where I sing. So right now I have like 27 songs ready, and I need to choose some of them.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know. It's just something, when you evolve, like I'm a bit tired, to be honest, right now of only producing. I'm not inspired anymore, so I'm trying to do videos right now. I'm switching to learning camera gear and singing and everything I can do outside of producing.
Yeah. Because
it's getting a bit boring. I've been doing that for 16 years now, and as you imagine, there's not so many things that gets you excited after a point. I'm trying to go away for a bit and then go back to it.
Well, they say it takes 7 years to master any skill. So if you've been doing it for 15 years, that means you've been there too long, twice as long, So I understand what you're saying. Oh man, there's so many questions I want to ask. First of all, this is the question I've been meaning to ask the last couple of minutes. Who are your inspirations? Are you listening to like a shitload of Bootsy Collins or what? Like, how did you get to this point?
You know what? I have I think the most unusual background that you can think of, because I didn't listen to a lot of music until I was, 14, 15, 16, because, I wasn't into music back then.
Okay.
And my family wasn't really, nobody was playing anything, and no one was a really not music listener. So I wasn't introduced to music. And back then I was really, really into electronic music. And that was the time, I think, with the Daft Punk, obviously, and all the new crazy stuff that were going out.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I actually wanted to make music because of Daft Punk and Trent Moller, which I don't know if you know him, but
No.
it's a producer from Germany. I don't know when. I think it's German, maybe, or Sweden, something. And he was doing kind of this crazy electronic music. Like, it wasn't techno, it wasn't electronica, it was his own genre, basically. And he did a concert in Rome with so many, instrumentalists. There was even violins, and one guy was playing the theremin for 2 hours. That was amazing. Like wow, I was blown away. Back then, I didn't even know what music was, to be honest. So then I was kind of interested. Back then I was already doing the DJ. So when I was 14, I was actually trying to DJ for the first time. And man, there's another story. Like, it's a really long story. But yeah, I've been DJing for a long time too. I first started DJing and then producing. And yeah, basically the first time I was interested more in sounds than music. So, all that kind of sound design, and for example, how do you make realistic the footstep with synthesizers. And that was like so nerdy that it wasn't even music, and then I was kind of interested. I don't remember how I got interested in music, but it was kind of fading away, this old sound design thing. It was always with me even now, but it's kind of faded right now for the interest. So, chord progression and bass lines, most of the times it's bass line and leads. And I think it was a really long journey. Like, you learn chord progression, and then you try to do the chords. They usually are played with the piano or a simple synth with really strange synths, and see what came up, and even the bass sounds, usually they're really filtered bass sounds. Instead, I tend to use really high, even a simple saw for me is a bass if you use that correctly. So then I tend to, open up everything, and it's became my kind of go-to. So I didn't even remember
I was asking, no, this is good though. I'm glad you're telling us about the journey. I was asking about where the funk influences came from. So now we're past you DJing now, and now you're producing. At what point did you just decide, hey, I want to make funk?
The thing is, everyone says that I'm making funk. I think I'm more funky than making funk.
Yeah, funky, yeah.
Because funk for me wasn't even a genre per se. Like, you can see, for example, Bootsy Collins and all this era, even Zapp and Roger. That was more like another way of developing the funk sound. But for me, funk is more a way of playing the whole song than a genre, because we are way distant from James Brown, for example, in my music. I think, at least for me, that was the origin of funk per se. And then there was the G-funk, with all these crazy synthesizer, and it was the way of G-funk for being inside the hip hop community, with Battle Cat and all this West Coast, Snoop Dogg made it famous, basically.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I love funk. Like, I always listen to funk and disco.
Yeah.
I love disco. I had a project back then. There was a new disco project, and then it failed because we were three guys, and everyone wanted to do his own things.
Oh, the worst. That's why drum machines exist, because bandmates.
Exactly. So yeah, I think I really don't know how to reply to your question.
No, that's good. That's good. I think maybe the people that are listening to it, because you're using a lot of synthesizers and I think you're one step away from pulling out a electro harmonics, a fuzz pedal, big muff, and a bass, and adding that to your next stuff. Let's talk about how to produce a catchy song. Okay. Because I noticed all your songs are really catchy. And there's one thing you said earlier in the interview that kind of stuck out for me. You're talking about how the pitch bend and how important the pitch bend is. And it's you have all the classic elements, but you have a sort of modern spin to it, Like my girlfriend listens to, Lizzo and whatever's on TikTok right now. You know what I mean?
love Lizzo.
Yeah. But she was really into the nostalgic kind of sound, but it's modern. It's modern and nostalgic at the same time. I'm wondering if you could just talk about how to write a catchy song, because especially on the D-Funk EP, like these songs are so fucking catchy, man. How do you make how do you make a head bopping song?
Bro, I really don't like for real. Like, I don't think about making catchy music, to be honest. Like, never. I think I'm the worst person to think about talk about making a catchy song, because I really don't know. What I can say to you is, like, when you have that kind of feeling that something is right, stick to it. If it's against every rule, stick to it. Like, it's your music. Stick to whatever you like. And that's I know it's kind of, cheesy, but if you think about that, a lot of the times, we are scared, for example, take Would You? Would You, right? The song with Burger, which actually, I'm saying hi because it's 1 kilometer from my house.
Okay.
Burger Flipper. So it's the one that's singing actually on Would You. And for example, that song, and even the song with Blues for the Horn, Know Me Better, the chorus is made with the lead. Like, how many songs you listen to the radio or whatever, even on the in the underground world that has a lead chorus. I think I never listened to any of them.
Interesting.
So for me, that was the right thing to do, and I stick to it, even though I knew that there was something that wasn't meant to be right.
Yeah.
But I called in Italian it's called the sti cazzi, which means who gives. Okay. So when you do something and it's against everything and it's not even perfect, but you like it, who gives? Do it. Yeah. And release it, because when you release it, it sounds different to you too.
Yeah, for sure. And you get the feedback from other people when you release it too.
Exactly.
There's a lot
of not you only have things that are in your head. You never know if people likes it or not.
Yeah, I'm sure I think producers, most of their friends are just other producers. You're right. Mm-hmm. And I know when I speak with a lot of my producer friends, some of them are just too perfectionists, and they don't want to release their stuff, and they'll send me a track and I'm like, oh, that's really good. And they're like, yeah, and they see all the imperfections, but they only see it because they've been working on a DAW for 28 hours working on the song. We don't see those imperfections. And I think, like you said, you just have to, who gives? You just got to put it out and then start the next one, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's important for a producer. It's one of the things that you learn after, so many years, that you need to step back from your music. You need to think about your music as it's something that you didn't write, because you have different opinion in your mind, because you listen to your music differently. And if you learn that skill, everything is easier. And plus, be quick when you produce, because otherwise you tend to get in the loop, and then you're not, listening to music. You're listening to the really small details, which is good. Like, learn how to make the small details perfect, and then forget about them.
Yeah. Especially now with technology, it's so easy to write music now. It's not like in 1991, all you had was an Atari ST, and you had to go in a studio or whatever. Now, like you said, you're using a GarageBand on your phone just to sketch out draft ideas for songs.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's give some advice for some of the new producers out there. What can you tell them about getting the word out about your music and your brand? Did this come naturally, like your listeners and your followers, or did you really have to mingle and do a lot of work to push the music?
I think it came naturally after 5 years since I started MADD3E. But first, I had 200 plays on SoundCloud for unofficial remixes, like everybody does, And back then, SoundCloud was even popular. So, 200 plays was really, really not a lot, So I was sending emails every single night, to blogs and playlists and everything. I was trying my best, even if I didn't understand anything about how music business works. I just send out emails, to people to say, hey, I'm here, I make music. Maybe somebody on the other,
other side.
Blind. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe somebody is interested. So always try to. I say like build your own likey, because the more you plant seeds, the more you have the opportunities in front of you. So just try whatever you want. And plus, if you're doing something new, like I was doing back then, this kind of funk thing is not, the problem is it's not a genre. So what I do is kind of a mood, and it always switches. Sometimes I do like up tempo, 120 BPM, like what do I do? Or then I do instrumental music. So it's always different. It's the style that remains kind of the same. So when you do this stuff, you're trying to go and try to make something new. Just, you need to know that it's going to take longer. You need to know that you're not jumping on the trend, so nobody wants to hear from you unless you constantly pushing out your music and your content. So don't be shy, to release 20 songs, I don't know, a year or something. If you feel like you're ready, do that. Like push out songs. Don't wait for others. Don't wait for a label. Don't wait for anybody. It's 2020. Just upload it on YouTube, and you have DistroKid now. You can upload everywhere.
Yeah, DistroKid is amazing. It never used to be like that. It was. I remember you had to use like CD Baby, and it was even weird. You had to $100 an album or something like that. Yeah. Now it's what, $10 a month or something on DistroKid. Yeah. It's crazy.
Like Amuse now is free. Like it's free. Like you can release music for free. That's amazing.
What is free?
Amuse is called.
Oh, I never heard of that.
Yeah, it's a new service. Like my manager told me about, and we're switching to that. And it's, I think it's cool. Like it's not taking so much. For €15 a year, you can keep all your revenues. Otherwise, they're taking 15%.
Oh wow!
Whatever you decide. But for you it's free. So if you make money, they're gonna have their percentage. But if you don't lose anything.
Huh? That's amazing. Yeah, I'm actually kind of shocked to hear that. It's crazy now. It's never been easier to start being creative, whether it's making music or doing video or art or anything like that. Once again, thanks so much for your time. We're getting towards the end of the interview. I just wanted to ask a last question here. More for the beginners again. You're on a few labels. I was wondering, could you talk about, I guess some of your previous advice might be the same as this advice, but for young people that are looking to get on a label, do you think it's worth being on a label, or do you think it's just go do it yourself and you don't need any of that stuff? Because like you said, you have a manager and you have a label. Is that something, do you think other artists necessarily need, or?
Okay, that's an interesting question actually. I think labels are really worth it when you sign them with an EP, with an album, with the singles. With only music. You don't sign your own project with a label, like never. At least for me, it's a no go.
Yeah.
A manager is cool if you find somebody like my manager is more like a friend, and we working together instead of him working for me.
Yeah.
That's a good catch. He wasn't a manager from the beginning. He never studied management, but we learned together, and he's really smart. So we did everything, and we learned in the process, and that's really good. So I think you don't need a manager until you get so many requests that you cannot, reply for yourself.
Yeah.
And plus for the contracts, which usually every single label try to scam artists. Everyone. Everyone.
Yeah, it's funny. The Trent Reznor from 9 Inch Nails, he has a really famous quote about that. He says, the only difference between a small label and a big label is that the small label will still try to fuck you over, but they don't have as much money to give you.
Yeah. That's what I forgot. If they give you money, backhand, take the offer.
Yeah.
That's the only good thing. You can pay for your album, your art, and then you just need to give them money if you earn something from the album. So they're just investing on you. And that's cool. I think that's cool.
Mauro, thank you so much for your time. I totally appreciate it. This has been a great interview. Is there anything you want to plug before we go, or is there anything you want to say before we go? Where can we reach you? What are your social media pages?
Yeah, it's everything. Like if you write MADD, so MADD3 and E, you can find me everywhere. I'm most active on Instagram, by the way. So just follow me there if you want to.
Okay. We'll put links. We'll put links in the show notes.
Thank you
to that. Cool. Thank you so much. I totally appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. Actually, you ask a lot of interesting questions. So yeah.
Thanks. I'm happy to have provided you with those questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Yeah, I'm gonna hang up now. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
That was another episode of the Bassfug Podcast. Totally appreciate that you're listening to this. Hope you're checking out the other ones. You don't want to miss any of the juicy information and cool stories that our guests seem to bring to the table. I'm serious, though. We have some of the best guests. I don't know how I get them. But you're going to want to go check those out. Make sure you're subscribed, because you'll miss all these great stories and music production tips. Check us out at www.bassfug.com. There's links to all of our social media, where the podcast is located, Apple Music, Spotify, you name it. Just go to www.bassfug.com. And thanks for everybody who's been liking and subscribing and commenting so far. It really means a lot. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
This program was brought to you by the superwill64.com Entertainment Network. For more great shows, podcasts, and music, please visit superwill64.com.